Call a meeting in order of the Newman City Council and Redevelopment Agency of July 22nd, 2008. Please stand for the pledge and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow our heads. Thanks for letting us meet this evening. Help myself and my colleagues make the right decisions for the people of Newman. Amen. Amen. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Caton?
Present.
Councilmember Kelly?
Present.
Councilmember Crinklaw?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martino?
Present.
Mayor Fantasia?
Present. Is there any declarations of conflicts of interest this evening? Ceremonial matters, we have none. Items from the public, non-agenda items. If anybody has anything they'd like to bring before the council that is not on tonight's posted agenda, that would be the time. See no one. Consent calendar. Item A, waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title. B, approval of warrants. And C, approval of minutes of the July 8th, 2008 regular meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have warrant number 34399 pulled.
343.
My name's on it.
Fourth.
I hear that was a donation you're making to the city? Have I heard?
I don't know, it's for the Oliver family reunion. I'll be sure to ask him about that.
Oh, that was a refund from the
Yeah. From the,
Memorial Building. Okay, 34999. All in favor? We have a motion, and we'll leave that one out.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second. I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that one, those pass, and somebody to make a motion for the 34999.
I would move to approve warrant number 034399.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 with 1 abstaining. No public hearings this evening. Regular business. Item A, report on recreation program fee increases.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Staff recommends the City Council to approve fee increases for the youth basketball, youth soccer, martial arts, and our summer program. Program fees have not been increased since September 23rd, 2003. Staff is recommending an increase of $10 for our youth basketball and our youth soccer programs. This would put each of these program costs at $50 per participant. Staff is also recommending implementing a multi-sibling discount of $5 for each subsequent sibling after the first. Staff is also recommending a change in the late registration fee from $5 to $10, and another additional change would be $30 fee for our Fit Kids program. This program is currently offered free of charge. This new fee would help offset supply and labor costs. They're also recommending a $10 annual fee for our martial arts program instead of the one-time $10 fee. We are proposing no changes to the additional assessment of $10 for these programs for participants not residing within the boundaries of the Newman-Crozline Unified School District. In 5 years, the cost of running our programs have greatly increased. The most significant cost, of course, is labor, and after that, the uniforms and supplies and equipment have also skyrocketed. New fees will assist in offsetting the city contribution to the programs listed. In conclusion, staff recommends City Council to approve program fee increases listed as above. We've also attached a chart behind that gives our current fee, our actual costs, the costs with the additional 15% city fee, and the new recommended fee. Any questions?
Terry, a couple of questions. The Fit Kids program, how many kids are in it?
We have registered 168 participants. Our biggest day has been 85 kids in one single day. And our smallest day has been about 32, and that was during soccer camp. But approximately 20 of our participants were at soccer camp last week, so kind of.
And what do they do in Fit Kids?
Well, as of today, they have a new game that we call flag tag. They're always doing physical activity. We do exercises to stretch out. We run laps. We play various games. We depending on the age groups, we break them up. Sometimes we have the little ones doing something different, like they'll play baseball or they'll do hula hoops. We have football, we have flags, we play extreme frisbee, we play frisbee golf, we've done obstacle courses, we have water days, which last week they did slip and slides. We have little kiddie pools we put out, and they run and they play games.
Terry, how these costs, how are they in line with other cities?
When I did do research on that, and the only city I did find lower than us in the area was Atwater. And I spoke to the gentleman there, and he said because if they charge anymore, the people will just go to Merced.
Yeah.
So, but right in line, actually Livingston was quite a bit more than most of our programs, as well as Las Vegas was right around $55 for their programs. Like I said, Livingston was up there. Series was quite a bit more. I want to say in the 70s for most of their programs.
So these fees just basically cover our costs for the most part?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is Fit Kids a bigger program since it's free than the other programs?
Well, we have usually around 300 soccer participants. So, Fit Kids,
But that's not free though, right?
no, soccer is not
Sorry,
free.
yeah, that's what.
But I'm saying, but soccer is a paying program. We have 300 participants
Yeah.
versus,
More kids in soccer, right, than Fit Kids.
Fit Kids is a new program this year that Terry found a similar program and implemented it here in Newman. And so it's a first time program for us, and I don't know that she anticipated the success of it by having that many people come out. and
we
do
kind of
it.
expected it to be like our arts and activities program last year, which our biggest day was like 36 kids. And we've never had less than that this year.
Right. And Terry, how long is your Fit Kids program? And
How
not
many-
the number of weeks.
It goes, I believe it's 9 weeks during the
9
summer.
weeks, 3 times a week.
3 hours a day.
So 3 hours a day. So really, you're charging about $1 a
Dollar
day.
session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to pay it up front, and it really helps out. And then she also gives beads, I think they're called. What is it?
There, we have a necklace, and they earn charms for, their participation. The winners sometimes for helping clean up, helping set up various, character award-based system to also.
Terry, you gonna expand this next year then? I mean, if you have the
We,
funds.
we were a little bigger than we
Well,
anticipated
that's
this
what
year.
That's what I'm hearing, yeah. But this will cover then, at least your expenses then?
Yes.
Excellent. Good program, thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Terry, real quick, what age group are we talking about in this?
For the Fit Kids?
Fit Kid?
5 to 17.
So you really break them up by groups as far as age?
Some days, when we have 80 kids and we have to be, like we had 85 kids and we had to be inside, well, we had to break them into teams and kind of do a game like that. But most of the time it is. We do break them up. Our oldest participants are 8th graders. We get a few that have come one time that are older and they don't like being the only ones there, so they don't come back usually. Or we recruit them to help us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
nice, Terry.
Any other questions for Terry?
Can I ask one question? And I'm probably not right now, but fees for the new pool, the Aqua Center. Have you talked about that yet?
We haven't had a chance to establish that.
Okay,
We need to figure out what our daily operational costs are going to be, how many lifeguards we're going to need, and those types of things before
Gotcha.
we can even work to establish that type of fee.
okay.
If there's no further questions, some direction then?
I would move to approve the recommended fees as recommended by the Recreation Supervisor and the increases as noted on the form.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you.
Terry, before you leave, I'd like to compliment you on what a great job you've done as a recreation director and all the programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Item B, report on sidewalk infill project and bid award. Or award bid, right? That's the way it should be. The heck?
Close enough.
Reading it
Good
like it
evening,
says.
Mr. Mayor, council members. As stated in the staff report, this has to do with our Public Works Department moving ahead with the CMAQ projects, with the sidewalk infill projects. The limits for this project are the south side of Kern Street from M to Amy Drive, and the south side of Driscoll from Amy to Eucalyptus Avenue. Sealed bids were solicited for the reference work and resulted with 7 bidders responding. All the bid documents were reviewed by our former city engineer, Gary Davis. And attached to this report, you'll find the bid summary that was submitted by him, and they were the ones who prepared the plans and specifications for this project. The bids are listed in ascending order from $81,562.50 up to $104,097.90. You will find the bid amounts at the bottom of the columns with the bidder names at the top. Staff recommendation is that the council award the Kern Driscoll Sidewalk Infill Project bid to BDS Construction of Chowchilla for $81,562.50. This company is the same one that did the sidewalk infill project before over on Inyo. So they do good work and highly recommended. Any questions?
Just amazing to see how many bidders out there. You could tell things are slow. Or in the past, we were lucky to get 2 people, 2 or 3 to bid.
That was about all we could get,
Yeah.
yes.
Any other questions, comments? If not, some direction.
I move for approval of the recommendation.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Ernie, thank you very much. And item C, report on handicap parking request in front of 1248 Main Street.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members, this is a request before you. It was the expressed concern by Councilmember Caton for the elderly and the disabled trying to access the medical office at 1248 Main Street. This request, as stated in the report, has been brought up and discussed before council meetings a time or two, but it had never been scheduled as an agenda item. And also, they've discussed handicap parking at the post office and at the bank. I contacted our city engineer, Gary Rogers, and asked for his input, his assessment regarding this issue. And attached to the report, you will find the email he sent to me. In the email he issued, he cited possibility the loss of a parking stall to be used for a loading landing area and the possible loss of a second stall for a ramp installation. The cross slope of the street in that parking area would exceed the 2% that's required by ADA standards, and so that would require a ramp to be installed in a paving transition from the street that would meet those regulations. Another issue also to be considered for discussion is whether the city would be setting a precedent for future requests for the handicap parking in similar situations. An alternative that we'll be discussing tonight is the possibility of installing a handicap parking stall within the medical parking facilities, as pointed out in the email by the city engineer. And he talks about placing an asphalt or a concrete slab area that could be installed along the south side of the parking lot, and to have an access point to be cut through the fence and the low brick wall there, and that would allow disabled patients to access the medical building through the side door. I have some pictures that I took here. Of course, this is 1248 Main Street, the medical office that we're talking about. Those are the parking stalls in front. But as you can see, because of the steep slope going up to the door, that wouldn't work as an access for the handicap. So that would mean that the entrance would have to be through the side door. And that would mean that this is the side gate from in front, from the street side. So the handicap parking space would more likely be installed in this area. This is a view from the alley. This is what is presently used for the handicap, and you can see he has this handicap sign there. The ambulance will come in through the alley side and will wheel patients in and out of the medical office through there. This is the entrance to his parking facility. At one time, we talked about perhaps putting in a slab here in this area, but then what that would mean is that the access would have to come back out into the alley and then back around this fence and then back to the side door. This is further to the west along that fence line, and you can see the oops. How do you back that up? I tried to push the laser. There's a side door there. So if an area were to be put in here and you would remove one of these small trees and then make an access point through that fence, and then of course on this other side is that low brick wall, then they would have a direct access into the medical office. And just the last picture I have is that medical building down there by south of the theater that would pretty much have to have handicapped parking stalls installed in front of the street if they were to request one. That's the presentation I have.
But Ernie, for that building on Main Street, there's handicap parking across the street.
There is.
Next to the hotel, which has easy access across the street, and they would not have to be a ramp because they have access to the sidewalk from the theater side, which is flat, and could come up the sidewalk. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. They could park there by the St. George, and they could go across the crosswalk by the theater and then come down, or they could come down the sidewalk and then at the intersection and be able to access it from there.
So that are there two there at the St. George parking lot? One.
Just
There's
one. Just one.
One. So that one spot then takes care of that whole center part of town.
That's, yes, the entire parking lot.
So there's only one on-street handicap parking space, which is in front of the library or the museum.
That is correct.
And I guess one of the reasons I brought this up is I just didn't find it that our streets was handicap friendly, and with the issue that came to my attention was it's not easy access into that particular doctor's office.
That's correct.
With the handicap ramp that's there, if a person is in a wheelchair and or on crutches, they have to walk through gravel. Now, I don't know if that's our responsibility, the doctor's responsibility, or I was just somehow wanting to see if we can make it easier access. And I see that the cost involved might well be $5,000. I just feel that we should somehow make it easier for patients, especially the elderly, to get in and out of that doctor's office, and that's the reason why I brought it to the council's attention. So, obviously, I don't know what the feeling of the rest of the council is, but it's pretty obvious. I support trying to put a handicap spot in there, and I understand it's going to take 2 parking spaces. And parking is at a premium in our downtown area. I understand that as well, but I think you got to weigh the good with the bad, and somehow I'm just leaning towards the handicap.
Councilman, can I just ask a quick question? Do do you think if the city could facilitate that gravel area in the back, if we could facilitate making that easier, is that something that you believe goes to the intent of what you're looking for, or is it on street up front? I'm not.
I think my initial reaction was the on street, which would make it easier. But in looking at the pictures, also I think it'd be easy, if there was access from that side parking lot directly into that door would make it pretty nice as well. Again, I don't know, is that our responsibility or that the doctor's property? That one right there, Mike. That door, but the parking lot across the street or across the alleyway, which is gravel. There.
Yeah.
Ernie, I'll throw it right back to you. Now, you're the expert. What do you think, bud? What would you do? What would you recommend?
That's your job.
No. I want the expert.
It's a trick
I don't know
question,
this.
or?
Seriously, what would you do, Ern, if you got the project, what would you do?
I have the project, well, as I pointed out, the easy access point, the slab area there, it's easy enough to cut through the fabric of that fence, put in a gate that you could close off after hours, and you have direct access into it.
Quick estimate, what do you think? I'm not gonna hold you to it.
Oh, again, it has to do with, are you gonna pave the entire parking lot? Are you just gonna
Heck
do
no.
a certain
No,
section,
we
an
can't.
area, or?
No, we can't
You
do that,
know.
can we?
Hey, Ernie, maybe we should contact the doc and see if he'd like to share in costs and working
Okay.
something on that side door. That's what I like to see done.
Good.
Obviously, parking off the street in that parking lot. He's got that parking lot for the patients. I know my mother parks in that parking lot. And if we could work with him to do as you're saying, put some sort of an entrance to that side door, I think that would be the ideal spot. Maybe he'd be willing to work,
I think
pay
bottom
half the
line
cost
is
or something, I don't know.
whatever we could come up with that would make it easier access is my primary concern, and I just base that on the day I went there and I saw the elderly lady that was coming up the street, and I just felt bad. I mean, I almost wanted to pick her up and carry her, but and it was hot, so
you didn't. No.
I didn't. No.
We took an order.
And I like that thought too, and I would agree if we could talk to Dr. Conga and because I have talked to him about that, and he was elated the fact that we might consider that, but this might be a better option, and maybe you might want to share in those costs. I think that'd be
Be a
worth-
benefit to his,
Sure.
his business there and his property and his patients, so.
Yeah. I think my concern again is the precedent that would be set because the other person would come down here.
On the
and say,
street.
"Hey,
On the street, you
where's
mean?
mine?" Yes, on
Yeah.
the street. And that's what holds me back.
Yeah.
As you say,
Good point.
it seems like once a year this comes up.
Yes,
We've
yeah.
talked
Yeah,
every year
it's
we
been
get back to
discussed.
this, yeah.
I think in terms of that though, Ernie, I mean, my response would be is, you have a handicap spot across the street, with easy access, whereas as this is set up, where that handicap gate is, it's not necessarily easy access because a person on a wheelchair and or crutches would have a difficult time going across that.
Michael, I've got a question for you. Can we put public money into private property in that way?
That's what I was going to say is we'd want to strictly be careful of how we structured any kind of financial assistance, so it wouldn't be construed as a gift of public funds. We could, as a city and or redevelopment agency, assist with ADA accessibility issues at a very low interest or no interest loan type stuff, but it would be something that we definitely want to make sure that we ran through our city attorney to make sure that it passed that litmus test.
Yeah, Councilman Caton, I agree with you wholly that we do need more handicap access areas, and this is a prime example of it. But I also agree with Ernie that if you do it here, somebody else is going to ask for the same thing, and that public money into private property, private enterprise is
I think
touchy.
that's what would push us back to the street then.
Yeah, but everybody.
I guess maybe with every good deed, there might be a bad deed, I guess. I don't know.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, that's usually the case.
I know the city has participated before in private property, like that parking lot for the vet across the
Across the street.
way. The city put in a lot of improvements, but there was an agreement as to
City use and all that,
city
sure.
use and all this, but money from the city did go into it. So possibility is there.
Well, then I think we ought to reach out to Dr. Conga and tell him we're trying to work with him and trying to come up with a solution and see what his take is and going on the project.
Excellent.
Everybody
Thanks, sir.
concur with that? Yes, sir, Ken.
My name is Kent Maddenwall, 612 Waxwing Lane. I'm not disagreeing at all with this, but I think if you look at the situation, he basically has 2 lots there with a fence running down the middle. And if you put the handicap parking spot back by that door, they're going to have to back out. And there's going to be a lot of other cars in there, and might have to put a semicircular system in. The simplest thing, I think, would be just to put it, like you say, at the alley. And then they just let them walk around that fence. Then they only have to back out 1 car. Otherwise, they may have to back out 3 or 4 cars. And then these people, where they're handicapped, what have you, are going to have a problem backing out that little space back into that alley and making the turns. And so I would recommend you go ahead and put it right by the alley.
Ernie, that picture right there, is that a gas main? What's in the corner of that, right far left
Over
corner?
here?
That's
Yeah.
That's a fish pond.
it's a fish pond system.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, he pumps water in through there, and there's some fish.
It's a
in
fountain.
there. Yeah.
So in Kenton's scenario, that would be real easy to eliminate that and create a spot in there where any handicapped vehicle would very easily access that point.
Yeah, you could access it at any point along through there. I just figured if you were just gonna put a slab area, if you put it directly across from the door, it would make it that much simpler.
But obviously that slab serves for his dumpster as well.
Yeah, you can, I think.
You can see it.
There's a dumpster in there also. So if your access, if you do the slab here, probably would be close enough on that side.
There's probably a couple different scenarios when you get on the site that Ernie and myself and Dr. Conga probably look at. So why don't we, as a staff, with the direction of council, just go in and talk about those with Dr. Conga and then come back and let you know what the results were.
Make an appointment.
One of the other things, while we're in the talking stage to explore, is that area big enough to develop a new parking area for the city?
That lot right there?
Yeah.
Oh, that lot's very big. Yeah,
It's a big lot.
It's a big lot.
Maybe we should explore the possibility of developing a new parking area with certain stalls being designated for his office exclusively and having access like we have over there on the southwest side of Main Street.
Yeah, I could see a nice 2-story city hall there. Yeah, we.
Make an appointment. Go see him.
The city could have had that property a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody concurs in. Ernie and Michael will go see the doc and
Get back to you.
Thank you, Ernie.
Yep.
Thanks, Ernie.
Take 2
Thank you, Ernie.
aspirins and call us in 2 weeks.
Item D, consider for approval of the Newman Family Apartments environmental assessment and finding of no significant impact.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Before you, we have the environmental assessment for the Newman Family Apartments. Back in January 17, 2008, a site plan for the Newman Family Apartments was approved by Planning Commission. On February 12th, the council approved their zone change. Brief run-through, it's a 72-unit multifamily apartment project. This project is intended to increase the number of affordable housing units within the city, as required per our housing element. This project is exempt from CEQA. However, because the applicant wishes to utilize home funds, which are federal funds, federal regulation requires that the project undergo an environmental assessment per the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA for short. The NEPA process consists of an evaluation of environmental effects of a project. There are 3 levels of evaluation in the NEPA process. This project falls under the environmental assessment finding of no significant impact analysis level, which means it's not exempt, but it wouldn't have a major effect. So the purpose of the study or assessment would be to show what the effects are and whether or not anything can be mitigated if necessary. Upon completion of this assessment, it's been concluded that the proposed project will not pose a significant impact on the environment. Findings and research are included in the assessment for that conclusion. Staff recommends approval of the assessment and the finding of no significant impact. With council's approval, we would publish the finding of no significant impact in the paper and forward the environmental assessment to the proper agencies for comment as required by federal law. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions of Stephanie?
Seth, these are the gentlemen that came last year, or in February?
Yeah.
All
Yes.
dressed up in suits, and
Yes.
these are the guys that do a good job. This is the one you said that,
We're
I
continuing.
know you checked around 2 or 3 places.
Based
and they
on,
said
on the
they-
references, I had no negative feedback.
Right, so good. It's taken this long to get,
Well, they're also waiting for, they had a tax allocation application to the state. That takes a while for processing, but in the meantime, they're getting all their ducks in a row for
Gotcha.
everything else.
gotcha. And Michael, this is gonna put us almost close to
Yes.
where we need to be.
Put us 36 units closer, yes. And
Any other comments, questions? If not, a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the Newman Family Apartments environmental assessment and findings of no significant impact.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Steph.
And item E, report from Supervisor DeMartini.
Good evening, Mayor Fantasia, council members. Well, your meeting went fast tonight. I like that.
So July,
I
it's,
can get home before dark tonight. I had a couple of things I wanted to bring up today. Last night I went to the mosquito abatement board, the east side in Turlock, and I was there to discuss with them how they were handling the problem with abandoned swimming pools because of so many foreclosed houses. It's a problem really throughout the county. And my opinion is they seem to be taking care of it fairly well. If they get a complaint, they will go into the backyard and they will either spray or put in mosquito fish into the pool. They told me that they were not able to pump the water out because of possible damage to the pool. So that's how they're handling it. And from what I could see, they seem to be doing an adequate job. I asked them if the cities were cooperating with them, and they said they were with their code enforcement. As we have, several cases now of West Nile virus that we have found, and this is an ongoing problem every year. So the abandoned swimming pools in foreclosed houses seem to be a new problem that we haven't really had in the past. So I think this is being addressed pretty well. They seem to be a board that's really on the ball. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. As far as about the animal shelter, I haven't spoke to you about that for a while. That's moving along at government speed, which is like,
a crawl?
It's far different than warp speed that we've seen on but it is progressing. We are talking with the city of Modesto, which is actually the last city to be holding this thing up. We have made significant progress with it, and I think sometime soon I'll be able to give you a timeline in the architectural plans, which are being done now. We haven't seen them yet, but we are still moving forward. I haven't brought it up for a while because things are going so slowly. But the new animal shelter will probably be the county's only capital project this year. Although it is a fairly costly one, we have scrapped all of our other projects because of budget problems that we are having. And as we still don't know what the state of California is going to do to our budget, but we keep hearing that they're going to use Prop 1A and take our Prop 42 fuel tax money and perhaps Prop 63 money for the mental health department. And they're even going to, and I think they will do this, raid the Prop 10 money which is the Children and Families Commission, and take it all and transfer it to the state. We have written a letter in protest of that. But I doubt it'll do much good, though. But when I get something more in the animal shelter, I'll report that to you. The West Side Healthcare Task Force meets again on August 7th here in Newman. We are expecting a report from Golden Valley on succession planning, on what we're doing to bring doctors in and what we do when somebody retires. Keith Boggs and our attorney, Mark Hartley, have an appointment with the Emmanuel Hospital to discuss our situation here and see how they may be able to help out, but that won't be until August 12th. And so we're going to make our pitch to them to get them on board with our task force and see if they can financially do something for us, because our theory as we go in there is that anything that we can do here on the west side will relieve pressure from them and also provide better service here. So we do have an appointment with the CEO. I have also talked myself to Doctors Hospital, and we will have an appointment coming up from them too. They are aware of what we're doing here, and they actually called me about coming in there and talking to us about it. So that was encouraging. I don't know what will become of it, but getting a call from them actually was good news, because we were very shortly going to call them. So anyway, it's moving along. So we look forward to the next meeting here on August 7th, and the notices of the meeting will be going out on Friday. The last thing that I have is just a quick report on the Orostimba Creek Flood Control Project. There was a meeting here in Newman yesterday. It was fairly productive. The Corps of Engineers has almost finished their hydrology report, and they have revised what the floodplain would look like, what the 100-year flood looks like, 200 years, and the alternatives that we're looking at, which is just two. The best one clearly is the detention dam next to Highway 5 on the creek. And they have done quite a bit in the way of studies of how much water that will have to hold back, how big the pipes would have to be, and just how that's set up. I was really surprised they had done as much as what they have done for this meeting. The other alternative is not as good as the detention dam, but it is pretty much a levee raising up Stir Road about from where the cemetery is across Highway 32 or 33, raising the road up about 3 to 4 feet, making a dam so the water could not come into Newman, and then using a drainage ditch of about 100 feet wide going over to the San Joaquin River to drain water back to the river. Really, no one really thought very much of this, but we do have to look at two alternatives. At the next meeting, which will be here in Newman on September 17th at 1 o'clock, they will have the costs of each of the projects of what it would take to build it. By the time that we get through with these studies, these are wildlife studies, hydrology, engineering, we would have spent close to $5 million studying this, and we haven't even begun to stick a shovel in the ground. But they are coming up with some plans now, and we are down to two alternatives. The biggest stick in the mud is clearly the Fish and Wildlife Service, along with the Nature Conservatory, who doesn't like the idea of the detention dam for a variety of reasons, from sycamore trees to kit fox to pebbles washing down the creek that is supposed to be some type of asset to the plant life, which is very questionable. A group of us are going to go on August 4th to Livermore to look at a sycamore grove there. Apparently there aren't very many of these, and we're probably fortunate there aren't very many. And then to see how the city of Livermore manages this valuable national treasure. So,
Sarcastic now, Dan.
well, they seem to think it's something worth preserving at the expense of people and business.
I know.
So we're going to take a look at this on August 4th. So when they come back to us on September 17th with the cost of this project, which will finally be the cost of it, the design of it, and how it's going to work, then we'll be able to understand how to better take care of the sycamore trees should there be a detention dam selected. So that is moving along, and I will have to say that yesterday's meeting here was fairly productive in that there was a lot of new information that we had not seen before, mostly in the form of new hydrology studies and designs of what things would actually look like, how high the dam would be, how much water it would hold back, how the release of water from the dam would work, how there was 4 pipes and gates of how they were going to regulate the water. And there was also an alternative mixed in with the flood control project with the detention dam and the other dam along Stir Road on what improvements might be able to be made to Orostimba Creek itself so it could handle a higher flow of water too. So they will have a cost of that too. So September 17th should be a meeting of real significance. So for council members that are able to make it and members of the public, I think this would be a meeting that you would want to attend, because at this time, the Corps of Engineers will present all their data of the 2 alternatives along with the cost. So it's well worth going to.
Jim, question? Something that's dear to you. What's going on the Berry Hill bill as far as the junk dealers? Do you have any updates on that?
Yeah, I talked to Tom about that a few days ago. It's Assembly Bill 844. They were very close to a compromise on that. It's went through the Assembly, it's in the Senate, and it is moving, like I say, at government speed through the Senate. But there is some consensus now upon how the thing is going to work. And because this metal theft is such a problem statewide, really nationwide, that I really think that something is going to get passed. The thing that was holding it up for the longest time was whether or not this was going to preempt local jurisdictions' ordinance above and beyond what the state ordinance is. The scrap metal dealers have been fighting this all along the way, but local jurisdictions and counties and cities really want something done. So I think that we're going to probably get something out of this similar to what we have in this county. What's still on the table, and I don't think will go away, is the thumbprint, the ID, and holding the check. And right now the bill calls for holding the check for non-ferrous metals for 3 days, where we just, in this county, we just issue the check the same day. So there is some question about whether or not local jurisdictions, whether it's a city or a county, can impose higher restrictions than what the state is going to pass in this. But from what I see so far, I'm okay with this because it pretty much incorporates everything that we have in a 3-day hold on the check, which I like even better. So the bill is moving forward. It's Assembly Bill 844. And I think if the state ever gets their budget passed, then this thing will probably come fairly shortly after that. But it is progressing, and so far I like the progress of it. It's slow, but it's Berry Hill has just never given up on this, and he's put a lot of time and effort into this, and I think we're going to have a conclusion to this pretty soon.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Staff reports. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. I think for that September 17th meeting, the city will prepare some video of how successful levees have been in New Orleans and the Midwest. So when they propose to build Chevron levees around our town, we know how successful they are. So.
Documentary.
Yeah,
There you go.
they're not a very successful flood control measure. So hopefully we can get around that. So.
All that does is redirect the water to someone else.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the river's gonna be flooded too.
But in light of that, a couple things I wanted to announce. The city has been working with the Newman Nursery Co-op. Their lease has expired, so we're working on a new lease for them. We should have that to you August 12th. It's written up. We're sending it over to them for their comments and concerns, and then we'll bring it back to you. So.
How long was the last one, Michael?
5 years.
5 years?
Yeah, I think this one we're proposing 3.
Okay.
I'm glad to announce we did get our $400,000 from the state for the
Good.
road monies.
Check showed up, huh?
We stuck it in the bank. I don't think we got confirmation if the money was there yet. But,
Cleared yet?
but they wrote us a check, so they're not going to try to steal that. Maintenance worker 1, we have an opening right now. That position will be open till 4 p.m. on Tuesday the 29th. So if anybody's interested, or if you know anybody that's interested in a maintenance 1 position, they can come down to City Hall. They can go to cityofnewman.com and download the complete application package there as well. Speaking of the website, also for the people who want to follow basically what's going on in the early stages of the election process, we update who has pulled papers and who has submitted papers. So generally that's generally updated probably within 24 hours. So you can keep a pretty good update on what's going on in the election cycle with that. And then we just continually try to update all of our information on the website. I think we're working on getting councilman pictures up there, so that way when you walk down the street, everybody knows you.
When they do our
I think the city manager ought to have his picture up there too.
We had a plaza meeting today, which was fun. I want to thank you for that. And
Are you bitter?
we will be bringing something back to you with a recommendation from all the people who attended. The majority of them, we will be bringing that recommendation to you on August 12th and trying to get that project finalized so we can proceed forward. The Veterans Administration is holding a service appreciation coffee here in the City Council chambers this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And not only is that available to veterans, it's also available to families of veterans, families of persons that are currently serving in the military, and it's an opportunity to access services and the like that's available to not only veterans but servicemen and their families as well. So again, that's 10 to 2 here in the council chambers.
Dean, is that gonna be in the paper? Good.
Just real briefly, I talked to a couple of you about it just today at 4:30 or so. We did get another letter from SCM. The saga continues. I think we're on part 3. It's longer than the Godfather series. But we'll continue to work with our city attorney and get the proper response as you found in your package was my last response, and we'll continue to push forward and get our $70,000 that they owe us. So. And then lastly, if the state does come and raid our coffers in the form of 1A money, we're probably looking at about $110,000 hit to the city. So that's a rough ballpark figure, but pretty close. With that, that's all that I have as city manager.
Questions? If not, other staff reports? You guys awake back there? Or?
Well, I felt really left out tonight, so I have a lot because I didn't have a.
You have nothing on the agenda.
I promise it'll be riveting in case Randy is watching at home.
On satellite?
On
Randy,
there you go.
Randy who?
You need to come up with a new term. Yeah.
No, riveting.
We do have a few announcements for the council and for those watching at home, though, in the coming days. Last Saturday, I do apologize for some miscommunication that I didn't get this out in advance, although we still had a good turnout. At the fire department, we participate in a Keep Baby Safe grant. It's county-wide. So we held a child restraint seat, not a checkpoint, but just an opportunity for people to come in and we could help them with those seats. And 23 folks visited us with that. Unfortunately, 86% were installed incorrectly. So we have one officer who is actually trained in the proper way to install a car seat. So with the assistance of the Modesto Police Department, who actually is the grant coordinator, they provide officers as well. We were able to help our citizens out, and 7 seats were actually given away as part of the grant as well for folks that didn't have any for whatever reason. So that was very successful. September is Child Safety Month, and we will probably have another one, and I'll make sure we publicize that one a little better. Also, a lot of questions about the canine unit. We've had some, actually I think it was last week's paper, a little bit of update since then, if everyone's, I'm assuming, probably read that. We do have a new dog. He's doing very well. We are hopeful that he will certify this Thursday, but that he's not 100%. We've only had him for 2 weeks. The other dog who we've had for some time now, we're very confident that he'll pass his exams on Thursday, and some very minor last equipment issues, and without a question we should have him out in the first week of August. So we're finally making some progress that hopefully we'll have 2 out in the first week of August, but certainly looks like 1. August 19th at 6 p.m. at the Lewis Newman Memorial Building. The department will be having a citywide meeting to launch a neighborhood watch effort in the community. We've been contacted over the last month or 2 from a number of residents who are very interested in actually having a formalized program. So the department will be there, as well as a crime prevention expert that we've arranged to attend for us, and an actual community member from a different community who was able from the ground up to launch a very successful neighborhood watch group, to the point, and this is an extreme case, but just to demonstrate to our community how successful they can be, where they actually employ their own security officers to patrol their neighborhood. This is in the La Loma area in Modesto. There's been a lot of publicity about it in the Modesto Beat.
Yeah.
The president of that association is going to just speak for a few minutes and sort of say how he got this off the ground and got city support and so on. So hopefully it'll be a worthwhile event. We'll be taking sign-ups from people that want to participate, want to be block captains, these sorts of things, and then we'll follow up. This is a citywide meeting, and then we'll break it down actually into the neighborhoods and visit their homes for the smaller group meetings. So that should hopefully be positive. But August 19th at 6 p.m.
What's the day on that?
I think that's a Wednesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Another
Tuesday.
The third Tuesday.
We're okay, right? Yeah, good.
Yeah, it's not a council meeting. So encourage all of you to attend if you're available, and to demonstrate support for this effort, because it really is a community. It's not just a police thing. We really have to have everyone else's support for that as well. The city manager mentioned the website. Ariana, the intern, that I believe you met her. Wasn't she presented one night?
Yes.
She's a USC student. She's done just a fantastic job. There's a number of updates to the police department's portion of the website, so I encourage you to check that out. And for folks watching at home, a lot of questions can be answered. If you prefer that media instead of calling us or asking us to come out, there's areas for frequently asked questions, how to get copies of reports, crime prevention tips, auto theft prevention tips, these sorts of things. So that's cityofnewman.com, and then just check on the public safety or the police website for that, or section. Live scan. I overpromised, under-delivered on that one, but we are finally up and running. And so as of Monday, we began taking appointments this week. So as of this moment, we've done 4 live scans. So I believe there'll be an article in tomorrow's paper, so we anticipate that that'll take off even more as people become aware that we have that. It's on the website as well and on the cable access channel advertising. A couple more, I promise. I'm almost done. The back row said I was restricted to 3 minutes, but I've already violated that. We have a new CSO beginning. He's actually already a city employee. We stole him, committed grand theft.
Grand theft
from the
employee?
Public Works Department. William Davis will be beginning with the police department on July 29th as our replacing Edgar, who was off the academy. So hope to get our abatement efforts and those types of programs back 100% again. But he'll begin with the department the 29th and start training. And the last one, this is more for folks at home, and we have this on the website and the cable channel as well. The police department does have a reward program built in to our budget that we're able to pay folks, callers or people that contact us for information, particularly in the areas of graffiti or vandalism. We're having some issues with our city parks and other areas. But callers can remain anonymous, and if the information supports us capturing these people that are damaging our property or our citizens' property, then we can reward those folks. So we encourage people to call us. You can also do that through Crime Stoppers, or we're a participant countywide with that as well, all of which is available on the website, or call the office. That's all I have, unless you have any questions about any of those.
Chief, I've got a question on the neighborhood watch.
Yes.
Are there any costs incurred in that?
As to the city?
As far as to the citizens?
To the citizens themselves?
Yes.
It depends on how elaborate they want to get. The signs, they'll have to come up with that. It's how typically most communities are doing that, unless, of course, we wanted to purchase those on our own. But most communities require the neighborhood to purchase the signs, which are relatively inexpensive. I think there's actually websites that sell these kinds of things. And then a lot of the communities, and I haven't had talked with Ernie yet, but a lot of the communities, Public Works would actually install them. And the reason we do that is so that it's uniform and consistent versus having them go and nailing them up on telephone poles or these types of things, that we could make them look professional. But we're in the very infancy, planning sessions, just kind of collecting names, putting out information, and then we'll sit down and come up with, how are we going to pay for this kind of stuff. But the costs are very little. It's more of just getting people involved and being aware of their surroundings, these sorts of things.
I would think it would benefit the city greatly to participate in that monetarily if it was to buy the signs,
okay, to
reduce the workload possibly of many of your officers. So something to consider as you get into that.
Definitely.
That's my opinion.
Well, we'll see what kind of turnout. And we are sending some directed mailings out to those identified community leaders and people that have expressed interest. Hopefully, so there's a good turnout and there's a lot of interest, because everyone will need to be on board to make it be effective versus just one neighborhood who takes advantage of it. But it is very helpful if the citizens know what to look for and know they have someone at the police department they can call. Our detective will be their point of contact, so they're going to have a name, a face, someone that they know very well is attending their meetings, that knows the burglary rate, knows what kind of thefts are going on, so it's going to be a good, healthy exchange of information.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Mayor, just real briefly, as the next staff member comes up, to continue our no-nonsense approach to code enforcement, our new code enforcement officer is also our karate instructor. So he goes along with Edgar, who was very imposing himself.
Now we're talking.
I was hoping to get somebody in the band, so we could at least get some more athletes.
I just got a couple of quick informational items for you. The Waterline Plaza project is complete. The city engineer, contractor, Doug Matosa, and myself did a complete walkthrough, and everything was in order. I'd like to publicly thank Doug Matosa for assuming the responsibilities of being the inspector, keeping all the records in order to stay within budget, which we did. So we'll get a notice of completion forthcoming from the city engineer, so that'll be possibly for the next council meeting or the one after that. And then the last item is October 31st will be the last official date, my last official date as your Public Works Director. So I'm hanging up my cleats.
Hang up your
Any
cleats.
Really?
questions?
Really?
What day was that, Ernie?
August?
Pardon?
What day was that again? I'm sorry.
31st Halloween.
The
What?
31st of October?
Oh, October.
Why?
Just
Why
time
would
to
you
go
do
there.
this? So I can run for council.
That was good, Ernie.
Ernie, you're gonna like the pay. You're gonna like the pay.
So, you guys have a real tough job. You guys, yes, you do.
That was good,
don't
Ernie. I like that.
envy that seat whatsoever. You guys give a lot of your time, and I know that you get a lot more complaints than you do kudos. So
Pass them on to you, but
yeah, so no.
Yeah, it's true.
So I
Wow, we're
salute
gonna
you,
miss you.
gentlemen, for
Damn.
that fine job that you do. But no, it's just time to move on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Ernie.
Thank you, Ernie.
That's going to be a heck of a party.
Another party. That's all you're thinking of, Ted. Another party.
Why not?
Any other staff reports in the back there? No, everybody's good, huh? Okay.
They gave me their time.
Oh, okay. That was very cordial of them. Council comments. Ed?
Just a couple things. I'd like to thank Ernie and staff. At the last meeting, I mentioned the removal of the paint on our building, Highway 33. I think it was like next day it was gone. So thanks so much. That was quick. Just like to comment on the town hall, the blueprint meeting with Stan Cobb on Thursday the 10th. Disappointing that a lot of people didn't show up. I think there might have been 8, 9, 10, and 4 of us.
I was including my mother and my aunt.
Exactly. But it was really informative. It was a work in progress and gave everybody an opportunity to express what their thoughts, concerns, what was important to them as citizens, where they like to see the city go. And I thought the presentation was well done and it was interactive and it was very informative. And it's just too bad that a lot of people didn't attend that. So. Other than that, I just like to say it was very informative. I enjoyed going, and it was very good.
That was a good meeting. Actually, they said that we had a better turnout, even though ours was small than some other bigger cities. So that was good.
And better interactive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it was very good.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. Ted?
Mike, you just want to report on that, the banner, so I don't have to.
The banner.
They can do the pen and shake banner, and they're working on it. They're supposed to get some proof this week.
Excellent. Thank you so much, because I know it's a pain in the neck to you, so thank you.
Hey, we guarantee it'll be up before baseball season next year.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Call service.
No. No, the other thing, I don't know what we can do, that there's two young ladies that have really been, and again, it's back to the sports, the softball. And also, I want to mention my name being mentioned for not voting for the field goal post, but I noticed that in the paper.
Just the facts.
Yeah, just the facts. Unbelievable.
We got it on film.
I'd love to talk to you about that one. But those two girls should be recognized. I mean, one's second all
Second
state.
team All-State, yeah.
Yeah, and the other two, I mean, they've done a job. I don't know what we can do. Recognize them somehow at the city, or, I mean, that doesn't come along either. So I don't know what we do in something like that. Just a.
You can give them some more of your allowance or make
Well,
another.
yeah, my allowance is gone. I mean, that's a banner. I'm sorry?
Is that your way of telling Michael to hire some kind of softball team?
Michael, see what they're doing, off season. No, at that time, Tara, they'll be playing. That's the problem. But no, those girls did one heck of a job. It's proud of them. Just proud of them and the whole team. But anyway, maybe this is enough recognition. I don't know. So, but that's all, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Bob?
Just a comment. I talked to a few people already about Canal School Road, and my concern is that, they're repairing that on the south end, of course, and apparently we're not going to do anything on our end. My concern is this would be a golden time to be able to do that because the traffic has been restricted to very few cars. And I know we probably don't have anything in the budget, but I don't know what's going to happen because I think we're going to see an increased number of cars traveling on that road because, you know, they're fixing it up. So it's going to be a pretty nice road. But I guess that unfortunately we got two different counties there, and that's what's creating the problem.
I'll check with Ernie's staff. I know Terry and Ernie have been working with Stancog trying to secure funding for that piece where Canal School Road comes into Hills Ferry and reconstructing that, and also working with the storm drainage because that's what happens is the water gets underneath the road and that's how you get all those ruts. So we'll check on that. But also we have $400,000 that we're going to be putting money to use. You know, that's potentially a project that we can float in front of the council when it comes time to make the decisions on what to do with that money. So
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bob. Mike?
I've got a couple comments this evening. First of all, Ernie, I would like to congratulate you on your retirement. I'd also like to thank you for the fine job you've done over the years. I know at one point in time my comments were out of line, and I apologize for that, but you have done a great job for the city, and I thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Second, received a flyer on the half-cent sales tax, which probably many citizens did. There were some things in here that I found not alarming, but questioning. Widen Yolo Avenue to 4 lanes and complete right-of-way of improvements. I know that's in our general plan. It's probably something that be a long, long ways off. The question I have is, what would our money share be of this if it passed?
we would receive approximately $335,000 a year for 20 years. So approximately $7 million over 20 years. So, which is a net positive for us because we would not generate that amount of money just in our local community.
Just so that that publicly is known, that when people look at this and decide which way they want to vote,
Sure.
what it means to the citizens of Newman.
Sure. And Councilman, I know the mayor's working diligently with members from the county to set up members of the alliance, to set up a local.
It isn't members of the alliance. It's a separate group that's
Oh.
going to be in charge of the campaign. But since you brought that up, in the upcoming months, we're going to have some informational meetings here in Newman to explain exactly what you're saying to the citizens so they understand, you know, what it is, what's it for, and how much exactly is going to be for Newman.
Yeah, well, I wanted to bring it up since the flyers came out.
Just came into this. I think there's going to probably be one more, maybe two more, between now and November. But
Yeah, well, I didn't want people to get alarmed that we were going to put 4 lanes down Indio right away, going to where, I don't know, but
these are wish lists for the future, like
Yeah.
you said. Yeah.
And then the last thing that I'd like to address, and was brought up, revisit a little bit, the plaza, downtown plaza, and the meeting they had today. There seems to be some controversy about the Yancey building, where it should be located, where it may be located, and I would like to get a feeling of the council. I thought when that was brought up that the consensus was that we had an area that we thought where it should go, and I just wanted to revisit that to see if in fact it was our consensus that we thought it should be part of the downtown plaza, and if that's the direction that we feel that it should go. So at this point in time, I would like to find out what the consensus is of the council.
Well, I think it was at the time, but we had 2 meetings, and I think you're going to bring back a report on exactly what they talked about.
Yeah, so
Definite minutes, and I mean,
at the last council meeting when the plaza was discussed, I know the council directed staff to go back and work with the designers to get more members on there to see if you could fit the Yancey building into the plaza. On the outside of the meeting, on the way out, the designers were talking to members of the public. They walked by the museum, and one of the comments was it's kind of disrespectful how it sits now. Well, the designers came up with an idea of what if we turn the rear of the museum into a park setting, and put the plaza and put the Yancey structure there and make it kind of a Newman historical corner. And you need to see the artist rendering that goes along with that. I know Councilman Kelly's seen it. I'm not sure who else has. So that was the discussion today, was do we go with that project and the plaza as it is and make that a more appropriate setting for the Yancey building? Or do we go out and put the Yancey building in the plaza? Part of the conversation that we had, and you know, this is over a couple meetings, is nobody could define what the function and intent of putting the Yancey building on the plaza was. I mean, we just were, in essence, we were picking it up and flopping it down on the plaza, but there was no real function. Nobody knew, nobody was going to, nobody had any ideas on who was going to staff it, who was going to, what it was going to serve as. And you know, from the city manager's perspective, I had real concerns with that because, you know, we want to know what the goals were for it and those types of things, because that really goes into the design of the function, design of the space around it, and how you plot it out and how you lay it out and really how it functions. And we never really got any real answers as to what that was. Also, as a city manager, I have concerns that is, if you don't have anybody to staff it, cities, we don't have staff for it. And people were talking about having volunteer staff it from the chamber, but you know, our chamber right now is not real strong, and we wouldn't be able to staff it that way. Historical Society couldn't staff it. All of a sudden, I didn't want in 5 years someone to start coming in and saying, well, what the heck did you guys put the Yancey building down there for if you're never going to use it? It's always closed. It's just a structure down there. Here, in working with the Historical Society, if you place the, and this is getting a little bit into the future because you have to look at the rendering, if you place the Yancey house behind the museum and give it its own space, design space around it, turn it into a garden type setting, the Historical Society could put some of their exhibits that they don't have room for right now in there. They could hold meetings in there. It could really transform that whole corner into a very nice facility. That's what we want to present to the council on August 12th, and that was the consensus of the group today. Out of the probably 10 or 11 members there, at least 8 voted to go with that concept. So,
Well, as long as it comes back with the funding of how we would fund that to do it and the timeline and all those considerations.
And that's all part of what we will be presenting to you on the 12th.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, because Mike asked the question, it was my understanding when we left that night that the Yancey building would be incorporated in the plaza. And I think that was pretty much the consensus of the council. Not saying that they can't change their mind or do something different. I'm just saying at that time it was the consensus. And I don't know what's changed, but
Well, that'll be one of the concepts we'll look at.
Yeah, and then and when we have this discussion on the 12th, I really recommend you come back with goals and function of what we really intend to use that Yancey building for on the plaza, because it really helps us as staff and as the designers try to design the space around it, try to figure out how to orientate the building. Do you orientate it towards the highway, to the corner, to Fresno, to the plaza? How does it tie into the rest of the plaza? How, you know, pedestrian flow, parking. There's lots of different issues to place that on there, and it really deals with what it's going to function as, what's it going to serve as, and those types of things. So, you know, when we have that discussion, if that's the direction of council, we couldn't get that from the
there's no records, Mike, of what was actually the use was going to be, what was going to be used for, because it was my understanding it was going to be an information center and also restrooms facility.
Okay.
And if that's changed, it's changed. But what I'm saying, I think that initially was what the Yancey building was going to be used for.
And that could very well go as part of it. The restrooms aren't part of it because the Yancey structure is not designed right now to. You would have to add the restrooms. The restrooms are a separate facility. But I guess the then question goes back to is who's going to staff it if it's a visitors bureau and those types of things. Those were just some of the questions that we were trying to answer. But in the interim, the designers came up with this other plan that everyone started thinking about and looking at and saying, well, does it really make more sense to do this and put it at the museum? And so that was part of the discussion. Did it make more sense in order to save the Yancey building. And I think that's the real goal of what this community was really talking about, is they didn't want the Yancey building just to be back in the museum and never be repaired and restored. But if you could restore it in that type of setting, the question was, is it a more appropriate location at the museum with the artist rendering that you'll see as opposed to out on the theater? And I think when the council sees this rendering and looks at it, I think you're going to see it makes a lot of sense. So I'm not saying that, if you want to put it back in the plaza, we can figure out how to do that, but that's kind of what the direction was and the conversation was at the plaza meeting.
Well, you know as well as I do, and everyone sitting up here, no matter what we do, we're only going to be 50% right, and 75% wrong. But the fortunate thing about it, we are bringing it to light now, not only here publicly on our televised chamber meetings, but also in the press. So it gives an opportunity for the public of the city of Newman to call their councilman and tell them what their opinions are, to help us to form ours.
Sure. And I would encourage people to, before you form an opinion, to come and see the plan that the Plaza Committee is recommending, because if you're not looking at that plan, you can't visualize the setting, and really it is a very nice setting, not unlike, but not into the grandest scale of like the McHenry Mansion, but putting it back there, and then the McHenry Mansion had the garden setting around it, and you could have tables, and you could really have like a League of California City meeting there with officials from other cities coming to Newman, and then they could go in and out of the museum and into the Yancey house and see all the exhibits and those types of things. That's kind of the direction that this artist rendering will take you, an opportunity that it will open up. Otherwise, I don't know when another opportunity to do something like that across the street at the Carnegie Museum is going to occur. So, anyways.
I mean, we talked about weddings. Like, it was really, you wait, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I mean, it's a beautiful rendering.
When you get married again?
Huh?
When you get married again, Ted?
Yeah, when I get married again.
Right.
Good luck.
Right.
But,
And we're not, this isn't to say we've identified everything. We don't know that we would open it up to private events, but you could definitely have, Rotary could have a meeting there, Seroptimus, at least organized groups, that have that type of setting, could have a nice garden setting and have a barbecue or whatever, catered event, move in and out through the theater, the handicap accessibility ramp is there, so I think there's a lot to it. I just hope that when we come back on the 12th, we keep an open mind as to what the potential is there, because it's pretty nice. So, it's about $250,000.
Where's the money come from?
Yeah.
Main issue.
Right. Well, that's an issue whether it's here or there, because that's
Well,
a
can we
face.
transfer money from the Plaza project over there, or it has to be contiguous?
Well, not necessarily. There's redevelopment money that may be available for this project here, so it's one of those things that, hey, you're the council, you decide where you spend your dollars. If you decide that, hey, we really like this, put $250,000 into it and take it out of the plaza, it happens. So,
Except the plaza has been something that's been on the board for a long time.
That's correct.
It'd be nice to have that come to completion.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my concerns with the Yancey building, of course, was that the community, they have such strong feelings about that building, and that we don't want to lose any more historical buildings that we've lost too many things already. So I know that at that meeting that we were talking about where the Yancey building should go, the majority of the people that were present here wanted it to be part of the plaza. Now, if that's changed, I'm sure that those people, those members of the committee, they weren't present here that night. I wish they had been here.
Right.
And that's unfortunate too.
Well, I can tell you the majority of the people that attended today's Plaza Committee meeting, which was the Historical Society, and some of the ladies that were here today, the majority of the people were to go with the other thing. But we'll bring it all to you on the 12th.
The juice is flowing, that's good.
That's right. And it's not. And I'm gonna let you know right now. It's not gonna be an easy decision for you. Like Mike said, you're gonna be right to half the community. Probably gonna be wrong to the other 75%. So.
New math. That's great now.
When you went to school, that was Juanita. Is that it, Mike?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all my comments.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Just want to reiterate the Better Roads, Safer Streets program. We will be having some informational meetings coming up, probably the first one in August and a couple other ones probably following up to the November election. August 6th will be our next Fall Festival meeting, 6 o'clock at my house. Dean, I'm sure, would be kind enough to put it in the paper. We need help on all categories. Everyone's welcome to come and participate. And then on the Saturday the 9th is our chamber annual John T. Severe Chamber Dinner Dance. Tickets are still available. Cocktails at 6. It's a Western theme. Bring your boots and Stetsons out.
When, John?
August the 9th.
The 9th, good.
Yes.
Okay.
With that, I think that covers us till the next meeting. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Do you have the tickets?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.